Oh, Jesus. Oh, that's not good.
Deadpool is a freak, and his name alone should strike fear in the hearts of his enemies. Or is it the other way around? What sort of name is Deadpool? Apparently he lifted it from the Dalibor at his local bar. It's where assassins like him used to hang out back when he was still normal. Also, Deadpool is virtually indestructible and can never die. He is known as the regenerative degenerate or the merc with a mouth. Both nicknames sound just as crazy as a superhero pseudonym. But what do you get when you cross a guy who can't be killed with a desire to kill everyone for revenge? Stick around to find out. Deadpool's story is now being narrated in real time by the viewer. The watcher has already seen how this will end in the deaths of every Marvel superhero and villain that has ever graced the pages of the Marvel imprint. But back to the beginning of the story. First, we see the Invisible Woman from the Fantastic Four holding tight to her dying husband and bawling her eyes out. Mr. Fantastic is dying, and his elastic body is all over the place. Individual rocks from the Thing's body also litter the lab floor of the Baxter building. As he tries to say his very last words, his form dissolves into pure skin and bone. He barely manages to tell his wife that their children are safe in the negative zone. It's the worst you'd ever see him, but an Invisible Woman picks herself up and tries to track down Reed's killer. Next thing you know, we see the Human Torch being beheaded by Deadpool, and his blood splashes on the Invisible Woman, making her a bit more visible. In her anger, she creates a force field in Deadpool's head and explodes it. Then she makes the mistake of turning her back on him. Not so fast, because Deadpool's head regenerates and he literally stabs her in the back. And that's the end of all 4 members of the Fantastic Four. But why the crazy killings? Not too long before now, Deadpool was institutionalized in a mental asylum by none other than Professor Xavier himself, who said even he couldn't help Deadpool's crazy inclinations. However, Deadpool was in fact handed over to a villain disguised as a psychiatrist who only wanted to experiment on him and his unique abilities. His name was Psychoman, and what better place to ply his trade than at a mental asylum? He hoped that he could use Deadpool and other inmates to do his bidding. The plan backfired, and instead of Psychoman's voice in Deadpool's head, a new voice spoke up that told him to kill everyone, and by extension, Deadpool became especially hostile to the fourth wall. Allow us to explain. All comic books are written or drawn in panel form. Those boxes where the characters are drawn are known as panels. But there is a fourth panel or wall, and it is the reader's point of view. As such, Deadpool had a score to settle with his potential audience. He hated the fact that all he was good for was being a character in a storyline he didn't sign up for. The writer was at liberty to use his character for all sorts of things, but he didn't have a say in it. His solution was to kill the entire roster of superhuman beings so that the Marvel writers would have nothing to write about. It was his middle finger to them. So, Deadpool kills Psychoman and escapes the asylum, but sets it on fire with all the patients still in there. Then he uses one of Mr. Fantastic's interdimensional devices to find the Watcher and kill him, so the Watcher's voice is silenced for good. On the news, a reporter is announcing that Deadpool has gone on a killing spree. After ending the Fantastic Four, he has gone on to kill Ghost Rider, Dr. Doom, and Howard the Duck for good measure. Sadly, Howard the Duck got roasted in the process. As the news reporter talks, Deadpool is in a battle with Spider-Man high up in the city. We know that Spider-Man will always have the advantage, so how did Deadpool get up there? Eventually he plummets and makes a big splat on the concrete. When Spider-Man gets close, Deadpool is not in fact dead and blows Spidey's brains out. The Avengers become concerned at Deadpool's killing, and they all meet at the Avengers Tower. His body count includes the Black Panther at this point, but Deadpool also has a gift for his Avenger friends. Earlier on, he acquired a few vials of the Pym particle and miniaturized a bomb. When Dr. Pym's body is discovered, Deadpool reveals himself and his bomb. The building goes boom, leaving only Luke Cage and Thor alive. But Deadpool has already placed a mini-bomb in Luke Cage's coffee and also uses the Pym particles to enlarge Thor's hammer, killing him. Then Deadpool traces the Hulk to a cave and murders Bruce Banner. The relatives of the dead heroes come together to hire a hitman to kill Deadpool. His name is Taskmaster. He tracks Deadpool for several days, and this comes easy for him because of the trail of bodies left by Deadpool. At this point, Deadpool has gotten to Venom and the Green Goblin, and Taskmaster follow the blood figuratively. At first, Taskmaster is driven by the money until he sees that a colleague of his named Power Pack has also been snuffed out, so he swears to kill Deadpool at the first opportunity, that is, if he finds him. We cut to an abandoned warehouse where Deadpool has Professor Xavier tied to a chair. The warehouse has been fitted with a lot of mirrors to create a deadly maze effect. One of Deadpool's victims, a hero who is supposed to be smart, falls into the maze. Deadpool taunts the professor as he observes the proceedings on the screens. Deadpool is so playful at times that you start to fall for his charm or sympathize with him. The professor asks Deadpool, "Why all the carnage?" Deadpool replies by stabbing the professor. This action triggers the professor's senses and sends a telepathic message to other X-Men in the vicinity. The X-Men form two teams. The one with Cyclops includes Cannonball, Pixie, and Emma Frost. Suddenly, an orb encloses Cyclops' head. He tries to take it off, but ends up blasting his eye beam through it. And since it's an orb, it manages to spread out the intensity of the beam. This kills him and also radiates outward to his team. The other team of X-Men coming to the Professor's rescue includes Colossus, Rogue, and Gambit, and they are trapped in a room where the walls are closing. Colossus tries to hold it up, but then the team gets electrified by a powerful bolt of electricity and dies off. Deadpool taunts the Professor even more as he experiences the deaths of his men. He even permits the Professor to read his mind. At that juncture, Professor Xavier tries to shut down Deadpool's mind and perhaps kill him, but what he sees instead drives him nuts. Professor Xavier, of all people, goes brain dead. That wasn't what Deadpool was expecting, so he turns his attention to the many monitors in his control room. He notes that Magneto has died from a vial of acid. Kitty Pryde is now trapped in the Tesseract, and Deadpool decides to leave her there for as long as time permits and admits this punishment is just as good as killing her outright. On yet another screen, you have Wolverine coming up, and Deadpool is in the mood for hand-to-hand combat. Wolverine has already cased the warehouse and finds Arcade chained up, as well as X-23 and Darkin being fried anytime they try to regenerate. When they meet, Deadpool is wearing the beast's skin like a trophy. Deadpool also has a sword made of carbonadium that could possibly kill Wolverine and prevent him from regenerating. As Deadpool chops off Wolverine's head, he warns him never to come back irrespective of popular demand. This remark is a hint at the so-called fourth wall. Taskmaster is still on Deadpool's trail, and when he arrives at the temple, he finds Doctor Strange and Wong dead. The place is a mess, and Taskmaster realizes that Deadpool has acquired an ancient artifact in order to destroy the nexus of all known and unknown realities. Elsewhere, all the low-level superhumans left who have watched the events unfold go on a protest. The rioting shuts down the city for regular humans. The superhuman mutants feel so badly about what's happening that a few of them make a suicide pact. They all line up on the edge of a building and prepare to jump to their deaths. This is strange, especially for beings who are used to being egoistic. It turns out that Deadpool has compelled a character named the Puppet Master to do his bidding. This same character uses his powers on Deadpool's behalf to mess with the free will of the remaining heroes and villains. The Punisher, being the vigilante that he is, has taken up a sniper position in one of the buildings, awaiting the appearance of Deadpool. He sees something on his scope and shoots. In order to make sure Deadpool doesn't get the chance to regenerate, the Punisher moves quickly to finish him off. But this is a decoy, and Deadpool is able to make him kill himself with the newly acquired powers of the now dead Puppet Master. These new powers are so potent that Deadpool influences great characters like the Silver Surfer, Thanos, and Galactus to kill themselves too. Taskmaster eventually catches up with Deadpool in a swamp, and your guess is as good as ours because the Swamp Thing is about to make an appearance. But before then, Taskmaster and Deadpool square it off in a duel of swords as they splash around the swamp. Taskmaster starts to copy Deadpool's fighting style and ruins himself in the process. Suddenly, the Swamp Thing appears behind him and consumes his soul. Deadpool now convinces the Swamp Thing to self-destruct so he can be transported to the Nexus of Realities. Deadpool hopes to end the continuity of all comic book superhero storylines. On the other side, Deadpool sees the writers of the same story about him putting in their final touches. He approaches them stealthily, but before he snuffs them out too, he takes a moment to tell us who represent the fourth wall that we are next on his list. That's it, folks, and as Stan Lee would say, Excelsior! Please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell to get up to speed on related Marvel comic book titles. Thank you for watching, and bye!